Okay.
No, it's recording.
It is
Now
recording.
you are the host.
Okay, so I can share screen once more. Thank you
We
so
have
much.
become like politicians.
Changing share constantly. And thank you everyone for your patience also.
Thank you, Tanmay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, from the first slide, ma'am, if you can just scroll through.
I will send you the okay. So right now, since we're still at the beginning, just please everybody sit here with a relaxed state of mind, right? There are no exams, you don't have to memorize anything. Just listen. Just take it all in, and I'll share this file with you so that you can, on your own time, go through it, read it once again, and then of course ask any questions that might arise from there. For now, just listen and don't get overwhelmed by any of this. Huh? Okay. All right. Should I go to the next one?
Yes.
So since the recording is just started, we've just finished the first part of this where we're taking a look at the Devanagari system of letters of Varnamala. We finished the swaras, that is the vowels. And now we're coming to a slightly longer one, which is the Vyanjanani or consonants. Sorry, one thing that I missed out here for the swaras, it is said that swataha rajate iti swaraha. That which resides on its own is called a swara, right? It is not dependent on anything else. It has its own existence. A has its own existence. A has its own existence, right? They reside on their own. Why is this important to understand is something that you'll understand in a little bit. Okay. So we come to Vyanjanani. Vyanjan are the consonants, the hard sounds which make up the majority of the communication, the language, right? All right. So the same words that we saw in the previous, in the vowels as well, Kanthya, Talavya, Mudhanya, Dantya, Oshtya, they're especially important out here for the Vyanjans. All right. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 main categories of consonants, right? And a total of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 main plus 1, 2, 3, plus another 3 categories of consonants. First one is called Ka Varga. Ka Varga, or the category of Ka sounds, Ka, etc. sounds. What they are, we'll just see. Then there is the Cha Varga, category of Cha related sounds, right? The Ka related sounds are Kanthya or guttural. They start at the back of the throat. All right. So how are these categorized as Ka Varga, Cha Varga, etc.? If you say Ka, and notice where is the sound coming from. What happens when you're making this sound? Make the sound Ka, again Ka, make the sound Ga, Ga. Right? Again, where is the sound coming from? Just notice, just observe, just as you observe when you're doing an asana or a pranayama, right? Now say Cha. Notice the difference in what is happening when you're saying Cha. Notice what happens now when you say Ja, J-A. What happens when you say Ja? Okay. Would anyone like to tell me what happens when you're saying Ka? Where is that sound coming from?
From
the throat.
And what happens when you say it? Is it happening?
The vocal cords vibrate.
Vocal cords vibrate, yes, absolutely. But vocal cords are also vibrating when you're saying so on and so forth. What's the change? There is the introduction of the tongue out here. There is the introduction of the tongue. So if you'll notice when you're saying Ka, it's actually the back of your tongue that is touching the back of your throat. Ka. Right? Ka. Right? When you're saying Ga, again, it's the back of the tongue that is touching the back of the throat. Right? So all the sounds that come from this particular part of your throat, they come under guttural or kanthya, and that's called the Ka Varga. So there is Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, and the nasal sound of this particular category, which is Nga. So let's try to do this. We'll do this together. We'll understand each category together, right? So let's say Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Gha, Now place a tongue where you would place it to say ka, but instead of saying ka, just make a nasal sound. Na.
No. No.
Na.
No.
No.
All right. So it's not na. When you're saying na, notice where your tongue is touching.
Alright.
No.
Where does it touch where you're saying
No.
na?
No. No.
Where does it touch when you say na? It's touching the back of the teeth, right? Dental, na, right? So you don't want to touch the tongue there. You want to touch only the back of the. Imagine you're saying ka, but don't say ka. Say nga. Say, give a nasal sound instead of saying ka. Nga. Nga. Right? Nga. Got that? Does everyone have that?
Yes.
Right? So in Hindi, for example, when we were in school, we were taught ka, kha, ga, ga, anga. It's not anga. It's nga. It's anga minus the initial a, right? So it's nga. 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 It's not anga. Anga is this body. It's not anga. It's nga. Does everyone have that?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
Yes? Yes or no? Kind of. We'll do it again. We'll listen to it in the recording. Right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's do this once more. Ka,
Ka.
kha,
Ka.
ga,
Ka.
kha,
Ka.
nga.
No.
All right. So there's a difference between these. There's a color coding going on out here, right? There is slightly peachish, pinkish, and it's a little bluish, right? So what is the difference? This is called Alpa Prana, which is literally minor breath, and Maha Prana, which is major breath, right? So when you say ka, there's a very little bit of an expulsion of breath, not at all. You're not doing it forcefully at all. And when you say kha, there is a forceful expulsion of air at that point in time, right? So ka, kha, ga, gha, and therefore it is Alpa Prana, Maha Prana. Little breath and a lot of breath. Ka has very little breath going out. Kha has a lot of breath. Right? Okay.
No.
So we're good with the guttural, the kanthya, ka varga sound. Yes? Yes. No? All right. We'll move ahead to the next one, which is palatal or talavya cha varga. Now say cha, like you said cheese, so say cha. And notice where the tongue touches this time around. You'll notice for this one, the tongue sort of touches the entire upper palate of the mouth. It's kind of spread across the entire upper palate of the mouth. So there is cha. In English, the transliteration shows as CA. So in the, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Upanishads, etc., the C is not ka, it is not sa, it is not anything else, but it is cha. And the CHA is cha. All right, cha. So cha, cha, ja, jha, and again placing the tongue across the entire palate. Nya. Right? So as though you're saying cha, as though you're saying ja, but you're actually letting out a nasal sound instead. So it becomes nya. Nya. Just touch, let the whole tongue be spread across the entire upper palate and then let out a nasal sound. Nya. So let's do this once again. Cha,
Cha.
Cha.
ha,
Cha.
ga,
Cha.
ha,
Cha.
nya.
Nya.
All right. Very nice. Got that?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we're going to go a little bit slow, but it is important to, I think, get these right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. The third that we're coming to is called Murdhanya. Murdhanya. Murdhanya is a word that you'll probably be coming across at some point in time in the Bhagavad Gita also. So Murdhanya. Murdhanya is cerebral. It's also called, in English, it's also called retroflex. So it's not entirely exactly at the central point of the palate, but just a little ahead of that. So not behind the teeth either, but not right at the central part of the palate either, but somewhere in between, right? And from there, placing the tongue out there. When you say tongue, for example, where is the tongue? When you say tongue, right? The ta is somewhere in between, right? Not really behind the teeth and not at the central part, but a little bit in the middle out there, right? So keeping it there, we have this particular ta varga. So it is ta, tha, Mahaprana becomes tha, the ta with a ha. So tha, da, dha, and na. So the na is kind of said with a little bit of a force, na, right? So ta, tha, da, dha, na. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Murdhanya or cerebral. All right. Is this good? We're good with this? Yes? All right. Until I hear a no, I will keep going forward. So we're done with 3 vargas. We come to the ta varga or the dantya dental. Keeping the tongue not really behind the teeth itself, but at the upper, where the teeth start and where the gums end, out there, the tongue touches that place. And from there we have ta, tha, da, dha, and na. Simple. The English N with an N, with an A after it. Na. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Could I request everyone to keep themselves on mute if they have some background noises going on? Everyone, could I request you to please mute yourselves? I have no idea. Just give me a second so that I can identify where the sound is coming from.
તન્મયજી મ્યુટ
Mute all. Okay, there you go. All right. Okay, I'm audible now. I'm audible. All right.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about the little technical glitches in the middle, but we'll keep facing them as they arise. Okay. Swati, can you hear me right now? I hope everyone can hear me. All right, so I'll just share the file once again, and we come back to we're done with dantya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, dental. And the last major Vyanjan category, consonant category, is called Oshtya or labial. This happens when the 2 lips touch one another. So it's not so much about the tongue any longer, but it's about the lips touching out here, right? Oshtya means off the lips, right? So this is very simple. Pa, pha, ba, bha, and ma. Pa, pha, ba, bha, and ma. Please note that there is no, the pa, this letter out here is not pronounced as fa. Fa is actually in Urdu, and it has been taken into Hindi with a dot under the pa, but in Sanskrit, it is always pronounced as pa. It comes, the first sound does appear. Where it appears, we will find out in just a little bit of time. All right, so pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. So these are the main consonants. There are the others also coming up, but the main consonants. So this is ka varga, the K category, the cha category, the ta category, and pa category, right? The labial category. All of them have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each category has 5 different letters assigned to them, right? Okay, and also if you'll notice, ka starts from the back of the throat, cha comes across the entire palate, so to speak, ta moves slightly forward, ta again comes slightly forward, comes to the teeth, and pa finally comes to the lips, right? So if you notice, this whole system goes from inside to outside, right? In to out, slowly moving from the inwards to the outwards, which is exactly how speech also appears, from in to out. All right. And each of these, we know that they have a nasal. The 5th akshar, the 5th letter of each of these categories is a nasal sound, right? And why is this important? We will find out in a little bit when we come to Anuswara. All right. The other, is it okay if I move forward? I can't see anybody. So if anyone can, all right, I can see some people. All right, so I'm going to move forward out from here. The next category of vowels, of consonants out here, in Sanskrit, they make sense. Antastha is that they are kind of internalized, right? They're not very hard sounds, right? And therefore they're called antastha. I've written semi-vowels, so it's actually semi-consonants, semi-vowels. It could be either, right? So they're not hard consonants, but they are soft ones. What are these? Ya, ra, la, and va. Ya, ra, la, and va. And when you actually say these, you will notice that even these have something to do with the dantya, oshya, etc., the cerebral, dental sounds. Ya. Ya kind of comes from, if you say cha, but you're not touching the tongue really all the way up. So it's kind of talavya. Ya. Ra. Ra is very clearly murdhanya, right? From the retroflex sound, right? The cerebral, the cerebral sound. La. La is from the back of the teeth, so it's dental. And va, you have to touch, kind of almost touch, or at least with the teeth, sometimes touch the lower lip, and that becomes a va. You can either touch the lower lip or not, right? Either which way. Some people do, some people don't, but it is labial in that sense. So ya, ra, la, and va. And then there is ushmanaha. Ushmanaha. Ushmanaha is, in English, it is called fricative. It is the friction of sound. It is not a hard consonant again, but it is the expulsion of air done in a controlled manner. What is the controlled manner? We're letting it out through the teeth or somewhere else, right? So what are these ushmanaha sounds? Sh, sh. Then the other one is sh, right? So often people have a question, what is the difference between the two? We'll see what is the difference between the two. The third one is sa, and the last one is ha. Sh, sh, sa, and ha. So sh, the first one is talavya. It kind of covers the entire top of the palate. Entire sh, the entire thing. Sh is, imagine you're saying, sh is supposed, this sh, the second sh is supposed to be murdhanya. So imagine you're saying, trying to say ta, but don't actually touch. So take the tongue to that position, but don't actually touch the tongue to the roof of the mouth. And now say sh with the tongue there at the back. Now say sh. Do you notice a difference between the first sh and the second sh? Yeah? Try.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the shat, we call it shat kon wala sh, right? So the first sh is entire palate, the second sh is murdhanya, retroflex, right? Sa is dental because, well, we are closing the teeth for this. So very clearly, sa is dental. And ha is from the back of the throat. Ha, you don't need to do anything. It's from the back of the throat. So like a, right, amongst the vowels, like a, therefore also like ka, and in the same manner, ha, right? It is kanthavya, kanthya, from the back of the throat. Okay, all right. Any questions so far? Yes, Bhavan Kumar ji, आपको unmute करना पड़ेगा.
ओके ये तालविश का जो प्रोनाउंसिएशन है.
You'll have to ask in English because there are some students who don't understand Hindi.
Sorry for that. What is the actual pronunciation of Talavish? We have discussed about the sound of pet mudhanna.
Yeah.
Now the Talavish.
So what is talavya? Tell me. You tell me. We've just learned what talavya is, right? What is talavya?
Palatal region of our.
Yeah. So now place your tongue like you place it when you're saying cha, etc., etc. Place the tongue in that manner, and now say sha. That's it. That is talavya sha. Okay.
The difference of the before sa and sa being confused.
Is it clear right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So a lot of people do have this question: what is the difference between the two shas? This is the difference between the two shas. All right. So that is sha, sa, and ha. And finally, we come to mixed consonants. They are the mix of a couple of, consonants. And the first one is really not really used in Sanskrita. It's not used in Hindi either. And this is l. It's kind of like a n, kind of like this n out here, the retroflex n. But instead of saying n, we're saying l. So that is l. And then this is ksha. Ksha, it's a mix of ka and sha. So ksha. This is tra, a mix of ta and ra. So tra. And this is gnya. It's not jnya. It is not gnya. It's gnya. From the back of the throat, gnya, gnya. And the last one is shra. Shra, a mix of sha and ra. Shra. All right. One thing that you'll have noticed, what is the one thing in, especially in the English, you'll notice that there is, along with the base letter, the base sound, there is something else also. It's very clearly visible in the English transliteration. What is that? Anything that you notice in the letters?
The dots.
The H.
The vowel.
The
H.
The vowel, right?
A, yes.
None of these exist, none of the Vyanjans exist without the vowel, right? Remember we had said for swaras, for the vowels, that which resides independently on its own is called a vowel, is called a swara, right? Swataha rajate iti swaraha. The one that resides on its own independently is called swara. A consonant, a Vyanjan, does not reside independently. It requires a vowel to be with it, for it to be said clearly, right? A ka without the a is k, right? With a halant. It is represented with a halant, with a line underneath it. It's not a full vowel. It's not a full consonant. It's a half consonant. It's called a hal, right? It's called hal, hal anta. So it's called a hal, right? So the Vyanjans, the consonants, require a vowel along with it. And the consonant always takes on the sound of the vowel that it is attached to. So ka, ka, ki, ki, ku, ku, kr, kr, so on and so forth, right? And that is true for each of them. All right? Okay. All right. Apart from these, there are some special characters that we will also be seeing. One is the avagraha. What is it? We'll come in a little bit. These are certain swaras different from vowels, which we will also be seeing. And this is in like how we have a full stop in English. Instead of the full stop, we have something called a purna viram. Purna viram means literally means a full stop. And you will have noticed that in certain shloks, right? Actually, let's take a look right now. I'll stop sharing this. I'll share another file. I can't see. Just give me a second. I can't see the file. All right. So in the Sanskrit shloka out here, not in the English, but in the Sanskrit shloka out here, there is one line which has one purna viram and the other line which has two. Right? Again, I'll request everyone to just mute themselves if there is any background sound going on behind you. All right. So this is a purna viram, and at the end of any line, a purna viram is used to indicate that the sentence is over. Right. So in a shlok, this is a shloka, right? So in a shlok, because there are these two lines, actually there are four. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 quatrains. These are actually 4 lines out here, right? To show that one sentence has ended, there is one purna viram, and to show that the whole shloka has ended, there are 2 out here to say that the shloka is now over, right? Similarly, out here, asatoma sadgamaya purna viram, sentence is over. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya purna viram, sentence is over. Mrityorma amritangamaya, 2 lines, shloka is over. This is actually a mantra, not a shloka. So this mantra is over. So this is purna viram. Okay. All right. Before we go ahead, any questions so far? Pretty simple. Yes. Just covering the basics so that everybody kind of, these are things we did in school. Some of us have not done it at all, right? So that just so that it is revisited and basics are covered. So we've seen swaras, vowels, right? We've seen vyanjanani, vyanjan, their pronunciation. This is all part of what? This is all part of shiksha, right? One of the Veda angas, one of the limbs of the Vedas, right? Okay. Now it's said that the anuswara and the visarga are important parts of the Varnamala, and there's something that keep coming up in our chanting also. And this is something that we need to keep in mind. So there are certain things about the anuswara and the visarga that we need to keep in mind. So today we'll do anuswara and visarga and end here for today. And we'll continue with all the others. What do we need to do? We need to do the pitch, tone, swaras, which we use for Upanishadic Vedic mantra chanting. We still have to do sandhi also, right, which is merging of letters. So there's a bit still left, but today we will do this much, right? Okay, so the anuswara first, right? What is an anuswara? We hear very often that is represented by a dot above a letter. Anuswara is made up of two words, anu plus swara. Anu literally means that which comes after, that which follows. That is what anu means. Anu means that which follows. So that which follows a swara, a vowel, is called follows a swara is called an anuswara. Okay. An anuswara can never start a word. It can never start a varna. It can never begin a letter. It will always come after. It is always said later. Right? You can't say the anuswara first. You always say it afterwards. That is why it is called anu, after, right? Later. Right? And it is a nasal sound that follows a swara. So we've seen it in various places. We see it all the time, right? It is symbolized as a dot above any letter, right? So on its own, it just looks like a dot, right? Like June pointed out, sometimes in some texts, it is a dot under an M. Sometimes it is a dot above an M. Whenever you see a dot either above or under the M, always just know that it is an anuswara. Okay, so out here, for example, there's yam, lam, vam, so on and so forth. All right. Although the anuswara is categorized as a vowel, as a swara, however, the anuswara actually represents a consonant. That dot, it actually represents a consonant. Which consonant does it represent? It represents one of these consonants. One of these. The fifth letter of either ka varga, cha varga, so on and so forth. It is anytime that you see an anuswara, it is always representative of one of these varnas, one of these letters. Either a nga or a nya or a na or a na or a ma. Okay. So it is the anuswara, the bindu, the dot is used in place of one of those letters, in place of the panchakshar, pancham varna or panchakshar. In place of that fifth letter, the bindu is used. So I've given a couple of examples out here. I'll just.
I'm not clear. Could you please repeat it?
Yes.
This is
yes.
different.
Yeah. So I'll just give you an example out here, right here. So if you take a look, what is this letter here? It's a half nya, right? It's a half nya, correct? Yes? Who asked that question? You'll have to say yes or no. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. And it is followed by a cha, right? So this reads as chanchal. Instead of writing it in this manner, chanchal, instead of writing it with the half nya, it is written as cha, anuswara, the bindu, and chal. So chanchala. So the same thing has been shown out here in English as well, right? The fifth category, the fifth letter of cha varga is written like this. So instead it is written in this manner. The anuswara out here represents this half nya. Okay. Similarly, Jhanda. It's something that you would have seen yesterday, right? Yesterday was our India's 75th Republic Day, right? And there was a flag hoisting everywhere. Jhanda means flag, right? So Jhanda, it is actually written, it's a half na, but it is written as an anuswara. The half na is written as an anuswara. So Jhanda becomes with an anuswara. Sampanna, similarly, Sampanna, instead of writing it with a half ma, it is also written as an anuswara, as a bindu above the letter, above the, in this case, a consonant, a vyanjan.
So Om, am I correct? Jhanda is equal to Jhamda because it
Don't
says
look at
equal-
don't look at the English. Look at the Hindi only.
Okay.
This is not Jhamda. This is Jhanda only. It's not Jhamda, right? It takes on the sound of, what did I just say? It takes on the sound of the fifth category, right? This is not Jham. This is Jhanda. It's pronounced as that only. Chanchal. It's not Chamchal. It is Chanchal. Jhanda. Sampanna, right? Okay. Is that understood?
Yes, thank you.
In the case of Sampanna, there is also half na. So instead of no, can we use also anuswara?
That is a very good question, and that's exactly what we're coming to next. That's a very good question, and that is exactly what we're coming to next. Bhavan Kumarji's question was, within this word sampanna, right? Ideally, this is a half n, right? Half na, right? Followed by a full na. And technically speaking, that should also be written as a bindu then, as an anuswara then, right? Why is it not so? Because this is one of the rules that when the fifth letter, right, in this case na, is followed by the same fifth letter, which is na, then it is not written in that manner. So there's an example that is given out here, anna, right? Anna. Anna means grain, right? Food. It cannot be written as a bindu. It cannot be written as amna. When can it be done in that manner? If there is a half na out there, right? So a half ma followed by a half ma, it can be written in that manner, but not when it is followed by a full na, a full ma, along with this, the ma with its swara. Okay, is that clear? I'm not so sure if that was clear. Bhavan Kumarji, is that clear?
Yes, Acharya.
Yes, it is.
प्रश्न जिन्होंने पूछा था, Bhavan Kumarji, is that clear?
Sorry, I'm not clear. Please
Okay.
don't mind.
No
Not
problem.
clear.
So there is no logic to this. Don't try to look for logic. Okay, just understand the rule. The logic is not there. We're not understanding the logic at this point in time. We're understanding the rule. When out here, if you see, there is a half na and a full na, right? What is this half na? It is the fifth category word, right? It is a nasal. It is the anuswara word, right? And what is it followed by? It is followed by another na only. And out here there is a full na, correct? So out here, you cannot, the rule is that when this is the case, you cannot write this as an anuswara. And it is given out here with an example. Anna can be written only as a half na, full na. It cannot be written as a bindu and full na. Okay?
That means, Tanmayji, the bindu can be used only when it is followed by a consonant and not by a anuswara. Is that correct?
Say that again.
The bindu can be used only when half anuswara is followed by a consonant
Half
and not
anuswara?
by a, like say jhanda.
When the when the half fifth letter is followed by a half fifth letter, then it can be written as that. When a half fifth letter, the anuswara, is followed by a full fifth letter, it cannot be written like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I hope that is clear. I'll try to look for some
All
examples.
this, Where will you be putting the recording so that we just go through it before we do another class tomorrow?
Nandagopalji is recording it because I don't have any space, unfortunately, on my computer. But so I think he will share it with everyone
On the group itself?
on the group.
Sarojini?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So as
Tanmayji, there is some disturbance in the backdrop. It will disturb the recording.
Can I request everyone to mute themselves? Good. Thank you so much. It's not yet gone. Give me 1 second. Okay, it's now fine. All right. By the way, we're not done with Anuswara out here. Huh? It's going to come back a little later to haunt us once more, huh? When we do the Sandhi. Right? The last thing that we're going to do about the Anuswara, because it's there within words, right, is that when an Anuswara is there before a before an Ushmanaha or an Antastha. So Ushmanaha is sh, sa, and a ha. At that point in time, the Anuswara is pronounced as as okay, as So there's an example given out here, samshaya. Do you know why that is? So if you see this, right, we just said sh, sa, and ha. Whenever there is an Anuswara before that, it is the Anuswara is pronounced as Can anyone say why? Anyone? Why?
Why, please? Why?
Okay.
Will you please take the to that slide where you're showing the rule so that we can read it again?
The rule is here, and I'm taking it there so that you can, it's very visible to you why it's not that way. So an Anuswara before a sh, sa, ha is pronounced as
Maybe it doesn't have fifth letter. I mean fifth bond.
Exactly. So if you see here, there is no fifth letter, right? Fifth letter is only here. Fifth letter is not here. So it is not pronounced any other way. Therefore, it is pronounced as And what happens to ya, ra, la, va? This also doesn't have any fifth letter either. So we'll take a look at what happens out there on the next slide. This is the last thing that we'll do for today. Okay, it's already 7:30. An hour is already passed. The last thing that we'll do today. So out here, there are certain examples so that we understand how they are, how the Anuswara is pronounced for each category. The ka varga, cha varga, each of them, all 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which is the 8th one that we have not taken? Oh, the mixed consonants, because it doesn't matter. All right. So for the ka varga, for example, I want all of you to say this. What is this word? You can say it to yourselves. It is pangum.
Pangum.
Pangum. Right? This is sankalpa. Sankalpa. Pangum. Sankalpa. Right? So this is for the ka category. Ka varga. Ga, gha, so on and so forth. Pangum and sankalpa. Right? What is happening out here? What you'll notice is that the Anuswara is taking on the sound of the ka, or it is taking on the sound of the ga. If you say pangum, it's taking on the sound of the ga. If you say sankalpa, the Anuswara is taking the sound of the ka. Right?
Ka.
Right? Although that is not a, so sankhya, for example, right? There's a word called sankhya. So again, now there what's happening? The Anuswara is taking the sound of the kha, sankhya, merging into that, right? Okay. Cha varga, sanjaya. You'll notice that the whole tongue, it takes on the sound, it takes on the shape of the ja, right? So sanjaya.
Sanjaya.
Sanjaya. Vyanjana.
Vyanjana.
Vyanjan. Vyanjan is also consonants. What else does Vyanjan mean?
Food.
Food. Something we all love. So Vyanjan also means food, right? And then sanchalana. So again out here, you'll notice that the Anuswara takes on the sound of the letter that follows it. It's taking on the sound of the ja. It's taking on the sound of the cha. Okay? Sanchalan. Sanjaya. Vyanjan. Cerebral. The Murdhanya. Brahmanda. Brahmanda. Again, it's taking on the sound of the da, Brahmanda. Kanthastha. Again, it is taking on the sound of the th, kanthastha, right? And then when Shivji is in his own mode, what does he do? He does the tandava,
Tandava.
right? A furious dance, right? An enormous dance, a tandava. So tandava takes on the sound of the d. Dantya sound, the dental sounds. So dvandva, dvandva, dvandva,
Dvandva.
taking on the sound of the d. Antaryami, antaryami. Out here, I've not given the original. What is out here? Out here, it would be it would have been a half na, half na, half na, right? Dvandva, antaryami, grantha. Right? Labial sampatti. What is the fifth letter of the labial sounds? Ma, right? So this should have been a half ma, which becomes a anuswara. Sampatti, a sambhav, labial, the two lips touching. And out here, if you'll notice, I've written sammana.
Yes.
Right? Sammana has been written like this and not with an anuswara. And this is because, Bhavan Kumarji, the question that you had asked, it's because of that rule, right? When the anuswara is followed by the fifth akshar, the fifth letter, full letter, then it cannot be written as an anuswara. So therefore, this is written as sammana, not the bindu mana. Not like that. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Now, what about the antasthas?
Can you please explain again this sammana?
Okay, I will. So this half ma.
Again, there is sound.
Bhavan Kumarji, will you just?
There is disturbance in the backdrop, Tanmayji.
Yes. 1 second. Shanti, patience, it will go. All right. Okay. Sammana. Why is this written in this manner? Because of the rule that we just saw a little bit before, that when the anuswara is followed by the pancham varna. What is the pancham varna? The fifth category letter, which is anga, nya, na, ra, or ma, or na, right? At that point in time, it cannot be written as a dot. So anna, like we saw, it's the anuswara, which is followed by a whole na, same category word. It cannot be written as in this manner. That is the rule. And therefore, sammana is also written as half ma, full ma, and not as bindu, anuswara, and ma. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. That is same we were telling a sampanna and same rule.
Sampanna nahi. Yeah, well, at the end of the anna, the sampanna ka the last part of the sampanna. Yes. Same thing. Same thing. Yeah. Okay. The antasthas, ya, ra, la, va, which we'll come to some of them in a little bit. In the case of the ya, in the case of the va, and in the case of the la, the anuswara takes on a nasal sound of the ya, nasal sound of la, nasal sound of va. So sanyama. This is not samyama, it's sanyama.
Sanyama. Okay.
This is actually not one word, it's two, but I've cheated a little bit because I couldn't find a word. This would be pronounced as yallabhase, yallabhase. Not yam labhase, but yallabhase.
Yallabhase.
Yallabhase. Okay. Similar
and what is the rule for that? That is because of this yara lava.
Again, because they don't have any fifth category word of their own. So the letter, the anuswara.
So it will always be, so shashasa will always be na, with na, anuswara.
We'll come to that right after, because shashasa is right after this. We're not yet there. We'll come to that in just a second. Yeah, for ya, la, and va, it is pronounced as sanyama, right? The nasal sound of that particular letter. Ya, nasal sound of la, nasal sound of va. For the ushmanahas, which is sha, sa, and also ra, it is pronounced as So amsha, samshaya, Samsara, not sansara. Sansar Hindi mein bolte hain. It is called sansar in Hindi, not in Sanskritam. Sanskritam also actually, right? It's not Sanskrit, it's not Sanskrit, it is Samskrita. So again, because of the same rule, right? And samhara, right? There's an H out here, a H out here. So samhara, samsara, amsha.
Samsara.
Okay.
And Maiji.
Yes.
Samshaya.
Excuse me, sorry, I have a question. I have heard sometimes pronounced instead of amsha, ansha.
So that's what I'm saying. So in Hindi, they say ansha. In
Okay.
Hindi, a lot of things are kind of let go, right? So ansha, the same sanshaya will also be, samshaya will be also pronounced as sanshay. Sansara, samsara will be pronounced as sansar, right? So that is in Hindi, but not in Sanskrit. Sanskrit rules are there, right? It's amsha. So for example, if you would have heard the word hamsa, hamsa. In Hindi, hamsa is hansa, which means a swan, right? So if you speak to a Hindi speaker and tell them, oh, you know, I saw a hamsa today, they'll really wonder what you're talking about, right? They won't know what a hamsa is until you say hansa. So in Hindi, it is, you know, pronounced in that manner, but in Sanskrit, it is amsha, right? It's pronounced as okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. So I think this is perhaps quite a bit for today, and I'm going to stop sharing for now. If you have any questions, please do ask. And if not, then no problem. Then we will meet again in a few days. Okay?
June has a question.
Tomorrow, right? Acharya ji?
I think Nandagopal ji, is Ravi ji starting tomorrow?
No, that has been
Yeah, has just written he's
that has
suffering
been
from cold.
postponed. So we,
Okay.
if you are
Classes
free,
are technically when?
Just one second. Just
hello,
one
please
question
don't
at a time.
interfere.
Yeah, just one question at a time. No worries. Yeah, so we can try to
People
do
are
it
talking
tomorrow.
without asking. When I am talking to you, at least they should have the courtesy to listen to.
No worries. So we can try and
See,
see
tomorrow, Acharya has cancelled the class. So if you are it's convenient for you, then we can conduct. At
it's
6.
convenient for me. Is it convenient for everyone else?
Yes.
Yes.
So
It's good if it is in continuation.
Yes.
Good,
Yeah. So we'll continue tomorrow and hopefully we'll finish it tomorrow. Okay. All right. I would like to say at this point in time that don't worry about remembering any of this. Right now, this is theory. Okay. This is only theory, right? Because we're not doing it along with the chanting and this and that, right? But as you all know, with experience, a lot of you know with experience that when you actually start to chant and when you're following, then it comes like that. You pick it up so fast. So don't worry, don't get intimidated by the theory. This is theory. The practice is not difficult. The practice is wonderful. And it's not difficult to implement either. So don't worry about it. Okay. I know initially it must be like, oh my God, so many rules in this. No. It's actually pretty simple when you put it into practice. Okay. So June, you have a question.
Yes, Tamaji, thank you. So we just studied the Ya, La, and Va.
Another.
Yes, we will check that later.
Yeah. So usually when there is a Ra, it's also pronounced as I've not written it. I spoke about it. I didn't try. I missed writing it down.
Okay.
It's also pronounced as an
Thank you. And the second question is, sorry, Rituji.
No, you continue, June. I will ask later.
Okay, thank you. The second question was, these rules that we're studying with Anusvara, they come from the Sandhi rules or are different from Sandhi?
They're interrelated. What happens in the so right now this is within a word, right? It's within a word, which is actually also Sandhi because sometimes one word is also actually made up of two words. So they're interrelated. It comes from both. It comes from both. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah? Comes from okay.
So Tanmayji, in one of the Gita chapters, it's a part of a shlok, Nacha Sanyasana Deva.
Yeah. Very good
Siddhim
question.
samadhi gacchati. So there is one anuswara and half.
Do you remember which shlok that
Yes,
is? Which
third chapter, fourth shlok.
Give me 1 second. Very good question. I'm glad that you asked because it will sort of big confusion, which I'm sure everyone has, but is not able to really articulate it right now. The third chapter?
Fourth. And there is some disturbance in the backdrop. So
Okay, Bhavan Kumarji, just mute yourself. And now you tell me what is the difference between the sammana example that we saw and what is the difference in this particular word that we're seeing.
So it is not the half na is not doesn't belong to that fifth category.
No, it does. This anuswara is a half na only. Okay.
Okay. So,
And
but it's not a full na, that's why?
Because it is not followed by a full na. If this was a full na, then you can't write it in this manner.
Okay.
Because it is a half na followed by a ya, followed by any other letter. Therefore, it is allowed out here. Therefore, it is written, not allowed, it is written in this manner out here.
So one anuswara and one half.
One half. And basically, it's essentially two anuswaras, actually, right? So one bindu and one half, right?
Yes.
It's a very good question. And I hope that this sorts out the other doubt. Yeah?
Tanmayji?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, just so I know somebody has a question. So Krishna ji and Bhavan Kumar ji, your doubt should actually be a little clearer out here. Okay. I can't see anyone, so I'm going to stop sharing. And somebody else had a question. Please ask.
Yeah, it was regarding the same word. Is that sandhi there?
I'll just share it. Which one?
The same word.
Sanyasana deva.
So sanyasana deva. So it's samnya sanadeva.
Sanyasan adeva. We'll come to the sandhis later on.
No, because here we are trying to pronounce it as ma. So it's samnya.
No, we're not pronouncing it as ma. It's not pronounced as ma. It is sanya. Always the anuswara.
But it's after sa.
That doesn't matter. If it was before sa, then, so for example, out here, siddhim samadhi. It is when it is followed by a sa, then it is pronounced as not after a sa. It takes on the sound of the thing that is coming after it now.
So for samsara, it's a ma because it's in because the anuswara is there.
There is a sa coming after. There is no. Let me look for a word for you out here, so that you can get it. So, okay. So, for example, this is niyatam, right? But it is followed by a ka. So, when we are saying it, it becomes niyatang kuru. Not niyatam kuru, niyatang kuru, because of the ka that is coming after it. Okay. Then, let me look for that particular thing that your question is regarding. Okay, so this word out here, there is a sa, anuswara, and a sa, right? It is because of the second sa that this anuswara is pronounced as samsiddhi. All right?
Okay.
Similarly, out here, there is a sa, above that, there is an anuswara, and then there is a ga, right? So what happens out here? It becomes sangraha.
Then why in the English one is it written samgraha?
Because the anuswara in English transliteration, the anuswara is represented by M and a dot underneath it.
Okay,
Instead of
so it's got nothing to do with the pronunciation.
no, not at all.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is that clear?
So,
And
Om, it is
please
Sangraha.
say that again.
So it is Sangraha or Samgraha?
Sangraha, always taking on the sound of the fifth category letter of the G, the letter that is following it. So very simply, if all these rules are so difficult to understand, for the main consonants, whenever you see a anuswara, look at the letter that is after the anuswara, and let the anuswara take the shape of that letter. So sangraha, sampashya. For sa and sha, unfortunately, it's so nothing much that can be done about out there. All right. So for example, although I'm breaking rules out here right now. So this would be kartavyan trishu, kinchana. This is for the ver, right? So nanavaptam, avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. So taking on the nasal sound of the ver. Yadi hyahanna karteyam. Well, since there is a ja after that, varteyan jatu. So let it take on the sound of the letter that is following it. I hope I'm not confused you further. All right. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, Tanmay, but if we chant in continuity without stopping at 1/4.
No. Right now I was doing it. No. Right now I was doing it only for explanation purposes.
Okay.
Breaking the rules.
Okay.
That's what I just said. I'm breaking the rules right now. Right. So you already are aware of that. Some of us are not aware of that rule as yet. So we'll come to that tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience and for being present out
It was
here.
lovely.
Thank you, Tanmay. Thank you, Tanmay ji.
We will continue tomorrow
Thank
again
you.
at 6:30. Nandagopal ji is being very kind in allowing this and letting us, recording this, facilitating it. So very big thanks to Nandagopal ji also, and thank you all for your interest in this. And tomorrow 6:30 we will continue. And let's see how much time it takes. Today took a little bit of time to just get the basics in check. Yeah. So we will end with a Shanti Patha, which we always end with. Purnamadaha. Eyes closed, back straight. Om Purnamada Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Om Shanti
Hari
Om Tatsatishwaraya Namastu
Pranamastu Sarvam Brahmarpanastu.
Om Tatsat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you all so very much.
Namah Shivaya.
Om Tatsat. Om Namah Shivaya.